Concept of disease and illness. The objective of this video includes health, dimensions of health, concepts of health, wellness, components of wellness, models of health and illness. Health, we are all know, traditionally it means if you have a disease, we say that you are unhealthy. If you don't have a disease, they say you as a healthy person. But as per WHO, the health is defined as a state of complete physical, mental, social and spiritual well-being and not merely the absence of disease. So it's not only the absence of disease, but also it should include your physical status, mental status, emotional, social and spiritual well-being in a society. As per the Webster Dictionary, the health defines a sound body, mind and spirit. Dimensions of health. As we said, as per the WHO, the health has 4 dimensions: physical, mental, social and spiritual. So it means you have to be physically healthy, physically strong. You should have an energy to work towards your goal. Mental ability, it means your emotional stability and your satisfaction to the work what you are doing. Social well-being includes how your relationship is with your society and the members in your society and family. Spiritual, of course, you should belong to a culture or a religious area so that you will be spiritually well behaved. So these are all the dimensions of health: physical, mental, social and spiritual. From the definition you can understand what are the dimensions. We'll move on to concepts of health. So there are 4 basic concepts here we are going to discuss. First one is biomedical concept, ecological concept, psychosocial concept and holistic concept. We will see one by one. Biomedical concept, it's a theory which explains that absence of disease in one person is considered to be unhealthy, which is an old traditional way of or traditional theory which says or which talk about presence of disease and absence of disease. So presence of disease, you are unhealthy, and absence of disease, you are healthy. So biomedical concepts, it has basis to germ theory of diseases, which we will be discussing in the illness. So medical profession viewed the human body as a machine and the disease as a breakdown of the machine. So the doctor has to repair the machine. So that is how the medical profession has been viewed in biomedical theory. So the limitations here in this theory is like environmental, social and other factors or other dimensions of health is not clearly explained in the biomedical theory. It speaks only about the presence and absence of a disease. So the other factors like environment, society, social, psychological, cultural well-being is not at all considered. So the human is a machine, and if there is a disease, is a breakdown, and the doctors will repair the machine. Ecological theory. From the word ecology, you all can understand that it talks about something like environment. The environment and disease as a maladjustment of the human organism to the. So if there is any disturbance between the human and the environment, what happens? The equilibrium is disturbed and so the disease is formed. Ecological and cultural adaptation determine not only the occurrence of disease but also the availability of food and the population explosion. So this ecological theory talks about something, the support which a man needs from the environment. That is like clean air, safe water, ozonic layer, atmosphere, food, population explosion. Everything is a factor which affects the human being's health. So ecological theory, it purely talks about all the factors around the human being. Psychosocial well-being. So it is not only the health of the physical health, not only the surrounding, but also a psychosocial well-being is necessary for the health. Contemporary developments in social science reveal that health is not only a biomedical, but also it needs social, psychological, cultural, and economic, political factors which is necessary for a human being to adapt and live. So all these factors are included in the health of a human being. So psychosocial factors talk about the emotional and the interaction of the human being with the surrounding. Holistic theory, which is a very purely adapted theory, especially in nursing, we usually talk about holistic care, holism. It means it is the link between a person and all the dimensions of the health what we discuss. So here holism means viewing a person's health as a balance of body, mind and spirit. So this is the best theory so far explained. So we usually as a nurses practice this holistic theory and focus on the holistic care of a person who is admitted in the hospital. So when a patient comes to the hospital, you should think of his physical needs, psychological, social, developmental and spiritual needs as well. Holistic model is a synthesis of biomedical, ecological and psychosocial. So it's one of the strongest and best model in the concept of health. Wellness. Wellness is a state of well-being. So what is the difference between health and wellness? If we talk, health is from the other's point of view. For example, I may have a cancer, but I may feel well. Yes, I may have a headache, but I am comfortable with the pain what I am having, so I feel well. So wellness is a state of well-being. So it is mostly emotional or the personal view of a person. It is an active process by which an individual progresses towards maximum potential possible regardless of current state of health. It's not going to be a problem or health issue of a person. It is the psychological acceptance of the human being. It is said to be a wellness. What are the components of wellness? So if you want to feel well, then there are a lot of components involved in the wellness, that is environmental, occupational, intellectual, spiritual, physical, emotional and social. So you have to be physically healthy, emotionally stable, socially good, and your environment where you are living, you should be comfortable with. Occupation, the work you do, you have to be satisfied with. Intellectual, it should give your IQ a good support, and spiritually you have to be confident and feel good. So these are all the components of wellness. So if any of these factors affects, a person's well-being is affected. There are a lot of models which explains about health and illness, or the connection or the relation between health and illness. So we'll see one by one as a quick review. The first one is health to illness continuum model. So this model says the human being or a person is between the illness and the health. So if he moves towards his left, a good health, then he goes to a high level wellness area, and if he becomes sick, he goes to a illness area where he will end up in a death. The next one is environmental model, that is agent host environmental model. Host, agent and environment are the three factors which is interlinked, and any alteration or interruption comes in between these three people, the equilibrium is disturbed and causing diseases. So there is a equilibrium which stands between this host, agent and environment, and what happens if something disturbs this equilibrium, it may end up in a disease or a illness. The next one is high level wellness model. So this is like Dunn's high level wellness model. He has made our health and illness in 4 quadrants. Okay, the quadrant 1 has high level wellness in a favorable environment, and quadrant 2 protected health in a favorable environment, And quadrant 3, poor health in unfavorable environment. And quadrant 4, emergent high level wellness in an unfavorable environment. So any of this thing, whether it is in an unfavorable environment or a poor health, will leads to a illness. Okay, even though they have a good wellness, and if they are in unfavorable environment, they may end up in a illness. The next one is health belief model. So it depends upon the individual perception and the factors, modifying factors, leads to the action of the individual. So for example, the age, sex and the personality or socioeconomic status or about knowledge about the disease condition makes the person thinks about the seriousness of the diseases. So if he thinks about the disease, then he will come to know the threat of the disease and he will try to change the behavior what he is doing. For example, if he is having a smoking and he understood a knowledge, or he gained a knowledge through education or symptoms or media information about a threat of the disease, what he does, he try to change his smoking or quit his smoking. So if he is having a poor personality, that is like sedentary worker, and there is a threat of disease and he understood it from the cues to action, that is like education or media information, what this person thinks, the individual perception, if he understood there is a threat of disease, he will try to change his behavior. But of course there will be lot of barriers in changing a behavior. So it may be from a family or it may be from your friends group. So there will be a lot of threat comes from the environment for his behavioral change. So this is health belief model. The next one is health promotion model. What happens here, individual characteristics and experiences makes behavior specific cognition, and it will end up in a behavioral outcome. The same thing what we discussed in the health belief model, the same thing. It may be a personal factor or prior experiences. He learned something, perceived, it can be a perceived benefit of action or perceived barrier of action, or self-efficacy or interpersonal influences or situational influences make him change his behavior, which leads to a health promotion behavior. So this is health promotion model. So the individual characteristic and experiences may be related to the previous behavior or personal factors, gives some changes in his human behavior, which gives to a health promotion behavior, that is a better health awareness. This is health promotion model. On the summary of the video, we have discussed health, dimensions, concepts, wellness, components of wellness and models of health and illness. Thank you.